Well, it looks like I am live. So, welcome everybody. This is 6:30-ish on a Tuesday, which means it's time for another episode of Tiger Stamp Club Live, where we make great cards. I hope everybody can find me. I was over on my Tiger Stamp Club page, which is where I thought I was streaming from. Give me a second here. I see it on my timeline, but I don't see it on my Tiger Stamp Club page. So hold on one second. Let me make sure that it's not over there. Well, I'm not seeing it over there, so... But I do see that some of you have found me. Now let's see if I can get back to me. There I am. Hold on. All right. I think I am in the right spot. I hope you guys can find me because I'm not sure if I'm in the normal spot that I'm usually in. Doesn't look like it, but we're just going to go with it. Let me say hi to people. Hi, Elizabeth. I'm glad you got your kit. Hi, Jen. Thanks for sharing. Hi, Leah. Thank you for finding me. I know, I finally just found myself too. Hi, Diana. Hi, Jill. Let's see. Hi, Barbara. Wherever I go, there I am. I like that. Hi, Gloria. And hi, Denise. All right. So most of the usual suspects are here. So let's get started. I don't have very much in way of announcements. The In Color sale, the In Color product sale is still going on. I just got my order in, and so don't miss 15% off if you have need of any of the In Color related products, ink pads, re-inkers, DSP, ribbon, those kinds of things. Now would be a good time to get those while they're 15% off. I also got my pre-order for the new mini catalog. Speaking of the new mini catalog, let me show you the cover. It's here. And I have gotten some of the new stuff from it, and it's going to be a really nice catalog. Here's the problem. I ordered the day that they did the pre-order for this new mini catalog. They also had the pre-order for some new online exclusives that are coming in September. So in my box, I have stuff, and I have no idea if it's in the new mini catalog or if it's an online exclusive. It is a real problem. I can't keep track. All right, let's take a look at tonight's card. Here it is, and I told you it was one that had lots and lots of techniques on it. And we are going to do some heat embossing. I've already done that part. We are going to be doing some die cutting. I've already done that part. We're going to be doing some watercoloring. I've done some of that, and I'm going to show you some. And then other than that, it is pretty straightforward. Oh no, we're going to recolor our bling with some blends markers, some alcohol markers, so they match the colors that we need. And this is a design that I adapted from Andrea Seargent. She is an Australian demonstrator, and she made one of those slimline cards, which I think is really pretty, but I just don't have much use of a slimline card. First of all, I would have to make an envelope to go with it because I don't have any slimline envelopes, and I just think it doesn't work for me. But I mean, I've received some slimline cards that I think are great. I just don't send those out. So I adapted it and made it a standard size. Other than that, it looks pretty much like Andrea's design. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to use to make this card. And the first thing is the Charming Day bundle. Now I'm looking over to the side, make sure, because I'm kind of zoomed in, because when we watercolor, I want you to be able to see what I'm doing, which makes it a challenge to know if I've got everything on screen or not. So here's the Charming Day stamp set. It is a cling stamp set. It has a mixture of sentiments and images, which is the very best kind of stamp set because you have everything you need to make a card. You've got this large floral image, which is what we're going to use mostly. And then I'm going to get my sentiment from another spot. And then you've got the corresponding dies. So we use this outline one to cut out our stamped floral image. And then I'm going to be using this large branch and leaves, and then this smaller branch leaves for some die cutting. So that's the Charming Day bundle. Along with that, for my sentiment, I pulled out this Wonderful Thoughts bundle. Now, this is a sentiment only stamp set. It is photopolymer, but you have all these sayings, and then the corresponding dies cut those out. So if you look at my example card, I stamped it and then used the corresponding die to cut it out. And I love the way that looks. Of course, I could fussy cut it, and I wouldn't need these dies, but it looks so much better than my fussy cutting. All right. So Wonderful Thoughts is also something that I used. And then everything else is ink, and I'll talk about that as we use it. All right, so let's bring over, I was looking for these earlier. These are the iridescent faceted gems, and we're going to recolor these so they match our card a little bit better. But these are so shiny and pretty, you will love them. So let's talk about the pieces. And don't worry too much about the measurements because I already have the recipe typed up and ready to post after class. So we've got a card base from Calypso Coral, and it's our standard card base, which is 8.5 by 5.5, and then it's scored on the long side at 4 1/4. And then we have two basic white mats that are 5 1/4 by 4. You need two of them, one for the inside. And so speaking of the inside, I am going to go ahead and adhere that to the inside just to get it out of my way. There we go. And then this one, we're going to adhere after we start, after we put a couple of layers on it. So that's the major cutting pieces that you need. You need a strip of DSP, and the DSP I did not show you. Let's see. It is, and I'm using different one than Andrea used because I couldn't determine which DSP she used. So I went through my DSP stack, and what I love about Stampin' Up's DSP sets is that they list the corresponding colors on here, so there's no guesswork. And so I was looking for something that had Calypso Coral in it. And this is the Thoughtful Design Specialty DSP. And so this piece right here has the Calypso Coral on it. And then on this side, it fades to another color, which is Petunia Pop. And so I just took a strip from the Calypso side, and that's what we're going to use. And it works nicely on my card. But it's so pretty. And then, you know, so many different uses with these ombre effects here. So that's the DSP. And this is a 1-inch strip, and it's the same size as our mat lengthwise. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down. And I am going to do it differently on my card, on my example. I left a little thin strip of white showing, and I decided that I don't want that little strip of white to show. Oh no, come on, Minnie. Hold on. I've got to undo this. So I'm using my breath to, I'm breathing hard on camera. Oh my God. All right. So let me try this again. Get this on here straight. And it looks like I cut it a little long. I'm going to trim that off just with my snips because they're handy. There we go. That's the look I wanted. So you see here on my card, I left this little strip of white. And I really don't think I meant to do that. That's just how it turned out. And so on your card, the one that I'm going to send to whoever wins tonight, I'm going to leave it so that there's no white over here. And now I'm going to adhere this gold foil. I've got a 1/4 inch gold foil piece that we're going to adhere. And this will coordinate with our gold heat embossing that we're doing. And I want this all the way over to the edge too. I didn't realize it was so hard to do, especially when you're on camera. There we go. So that is a nice little accent there. And let me see if I have my little eraser, because I've got a little bit of smudging going on here. I've got a little bit of adhesive on top from my fingers from when I had to pull up that DSP. And now I'm going to bring my microfiber towel over and just going to shine this up a little bit. All right. That's good. All right, now that I have these two pieces on, I can go ahead and adhere this to my card base. Okay, so let's do that. And I've got some adhesive on here. And of course now my seal decides to act up. I have another one right here, just handy, so we're not going to let that stop us. And then this goes on here. All right, so that is a very elegant background layer for all the other elements that we're going to be doing, adding to this. Okay, let's talk about die cuts. Remember I told you we had a larger branch with leaves and a smaller branch with leaves. So I did 2 of each. And these are from the corresponding dies. It looks like I had a third one that I found on my desk after I put this all together. But this is from, I stamped the sentiment with Versamark, and then I heat set it with white embossing powder, and then die cut it with that corresponding die. So there's our sentiment. And then for our flowers, you need 3 sets of this large floral image. And I stamped it in Versamark and heat set it in gold. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that's heat set in gold. And I had run out of watercolor paper. That's what I would normally use. So I am using a retired shimmery white cardstock that we used to have, because I remember it is good for using when you're watercoloring. So anyway, we have 3 of those, and I've colored the other 2, and I wanted to show you how I colored this. That's going to be the main focus on tonight's class. And I think I'm going to bring this down just a little bit so you can see what I do when I'm watercoloring. Let's see what that looks like. Does that look close enough? Or did that even come down very much? I think that's the most I can get it down. Hopefully that'll be close enough. Now, what you're going to need is a water painter. And then you need the inks that you're going to use. And for the flowers, we're going to use Petal Pink and Calypso Coral. So what I do is I squeeze the ink pad, the lid, into the ink pad before I open it up to get the ink on the lid. And we use the ink from the lid to watercolor. I'm going to do that with both of these. Alternately, you can get an acrylic block and just, press it onto your ink pad to get some ink onto your acrylic block, and then pick that up from the acrylic block. That's another good way to do it. I'm going to get these out of the way right now. Oops, sorry, hit that. And then we are going to need, I'm going to bring over scrap paper. This is a grid paper that I saved part of. And then anytime you watercolor, you want to have a paper towel nearby in case you get too much water on your image that you're coloring. So I've got a piece of, no, it won't. I've got a piece of paper towel close by. All right, so I'm going to concentrate on the flower. And there's 2 of them. I'm going to concentrate on the biggest one first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my pen started by squeezing over here on my paper until I have a drop of water come out. And then before I even start coloring, I'm going to add some water to the area that I want to start coloring, which is, in this case, this large flower. You want to have a little bit of water already on your paper before you start. That's going to let the color move a little bit. All right, so now I'm coming over here and picking up some petal pink. And then I'm just going to start coloring, painting. And what I've noticed is as you are watercoloring, you get this certain level of color, and then as it dries, it lightens up. So often I will come back and add more, start layering that color on if I needed a deeper depth of color. But for these flowers, these are soft and pretty flowers. We don't need a whole lot, I think we like the delicate color. All right, so that is, you saw how easy that was. You can do this. It's super, super simple. Now I'm going to change colors. So first of all, I'm going to, on my piece of paper here, I'm going to just wipe off the color. And then I'm going to go and pick up some of this Calypso Coral. And I am just going to start dabbing it in. And in my mind, it's darker in the center. So I'm going to add a lot of color there. And then go add color around the edges. So really kind of just following the art lines here. And you can kind of see how that is adding depth to this flower. Just following the lines of these petals here. And then I'm going to go back and just add a little bit on these larger areas. Just so that we have some depth of color here. And when this dries, it really does give you that watercolor effect, which I thought was super, super fun. All right, I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to work on the other flower. So I'm going to go back to petal pink. So I'm going to come over here to my paper and brush until I don't have any color showing. I'm going to drop some water there and then pick it up, and I'm going to go put some water, a water layer on first, a very light water layer. You don't want too much because then your color will run where you don't want it to run. And that's why I have my paper towel handy in case I do get too much water where I don't want it. Now I'm going to just color this smaller flower with the petal pink. It's a very subtle, delicate color there. All right, switching colors. So I'm gonna brush, brush, brush. Pick up some of this Calypso Coral. Start adding that on along those petal lines. All right. That's a smaller flower, so you don't really have a whole lot to color there. And now if I want to, I can go in, now that this has dried some, I can go back in and add some depth of color Just making it a little bit darker in certain areas. But this is definitely a case of less is more when you're coloring like this. All right, so let's take a close look at that because I know I didn't get zoomed in as much as I wanted, but what do you guys think of that? Isn't that pretty? Isn't that fun? All right, now let's move on to, all right, so here is an advantage I thought of squeezing the ink into your lid as opposed to putting it on an acrylic block. Now I can just close this up, and the next time I want to watercolor with these colors, that ink stays in that lid and I can use that. If I did it on an acrylic block and I squeezed too much on there, then I have to clean that off when I'm done. And so I would lose some ink. All right, for our leaves, oh, let me squeeze some more in while I'm here. We are using Lost Lagoon and Old Olive. All right, I'm gonna brush until I don't have any color on my painter. I'm gonna put a drop of water there, and let's concentrate on this big flower here. Big leaf. So I'm gonna put down a layer of water first. Go ahead and, oh no, I'm not, because that's a different color. All right, so this leaf is Lost Lagoon. And so I am going to come back in and my first little layer here, I want, pretty pale. I don't want too much color because I want to add some where I want the extra color to be. In other words, I need it darker here where it's kind of underneath that flower. And so I've got it colored basically that color. Now I'm going to come back in and start layering more color, picking up more ink, and then just layering that on, pushing that color around a little bit. All right, I'm gonna let that dry. And then the next flower that is the same color, the Lost Lagoon, is right here. You can decide that yourself, but I'm trying to do it just like my example. So again, I put some water on first, and now I'm going back and adding some ink. And then making it darker here toward the bottom of the leaf. And I'm gonna let that dry and then go back in and even add more shading there. Okay, the next one that is Lost Lagoon is gonna be this one. Do you guys watercolor much? I gotta say that I don't. But when I do stuff like this, I think, why don't I do more of this? Because it's really fun and it makes you feel artistic. You know what I mean? All right, now I'm gonna add some here. Okay, and a couple more. Let's see. That's that one. So it's this one. Let me add some. I forgot to clean my brush off, but I think it'll be fine. All right. And let's add some water here. And now ink. All right. Now, before I switch to the old olive, I'm going to go back and then just add a deeper shade here on these leaves. Just so that there's some greater variation in color there. Not a lot. Hey, at the end, remind me, because there's a couple of sets that I'm just dying to show you from the new catalog. I can't show you in the catalog, but if I can show you if I have the set in my hot little hands, which I do. All right, I like that, so I'm going to stop there. And if you notice, I don't. Let me bring this up. I've got little areas of what looks a little unfinished. If that bothers you, then for sure you could go back and color it in. But I like that effect. I like the look of that because it really does look watercolory. All right, now I'm going to get rid of that blue. And I'm going to actually close this because I don't want to accidentally pick up blue when I'm meaning to pick up green. And let's go back to this big leaf here. And the first thing I'm going to do is add some water. Pick up some ink and then color. And with this, usually if you're stamping and you're watercoloring, you're going to use StazOn. But since we heat emboss this, we don't have to worry about that because the embossing takes care of any chance of that running, bleeding. All right, I'm gonna let that dry and we'll come back and add some color to it. Let's go this way. Water, then ink. And this is just something that I've picked up watching other people do it. I'm curious. I should have added, I need to add some water first. I'm curious if you guys do it a different way, those of you that might watercolor. Do you do it like this? Or do you have another tried and tested way of how you do it? See, on these smaller leaves, I'm getting a little bit too much water. So what you do is you just take a corner of your paper towel and tap, 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 and that'll bring up some of that water. Oops, need some water first. It's okay if a little bit of this green is on here, and I'm gonna add water to all these leaves because they're kind of in a bunch here. Now I'm gonna go back and color. I'll have to look at comments in a little while because right now major concentration is going on. All right, that's our base layer. Now I'm going to go back around and try not to overdo, but add a little deeper color. I really like that one. Oh, look, I forgot a little leaf there, but I'm gonna water, ink. Let that dry and then come back around here. It doesn't take a whole lot of this deeper color to just get a nice little variation in color. All right, I think that's it. Let me clean my brush here real quick. Put that over there. Close this out. Move this. Don't need that anymore. And here is our masterpiece. So you've got those gold shimmery lines and then that very watercolory effect in the painting. I really, really like this technique. And so I've got two more that I did earlier today that we're going to use. And you can see this one looks a little darker than these two. That's because these are completely dry and these are still drying. So it does lighten up a little as they dry. What do you guys think of that? Let me see. Hey, Nancy Collier. I don't care for slimline either. I mean, they're cool, but I don't think they're very practical. Hey, Anita. Hey, Jill. Hey, Linda. Hey, Barbara. Carol. Hey, Evie. I'm looking through this. I agree, Jill, that gold really sets it off. And in the picture that I took of my example card, you really can't even tell it's gold embossed but in person, it is amazing. All right, I think before we start to put this together, I'm going to grab my bling because I need some time for it to dry as well. This is a Calypso Coral. I'm using the dark one because I want the, deepest color I can get. And I'm going to color these iridescent faceted gems. All right. And when I do this, I use the bullet end because sometimes on some of these gems, it can, tear up the brush end. So what I'm going to just do is color it. And it's another selling point for these blends markers, these alcohol markers, because they can color almost any surface. And they're very good at coloring these gems. So I need 2 big ones and 3 little ones. So I'm going to come over here, color the little ones. I love having things coordinate, the colors coordinate. And this is a great thing to have when you don't have a certain color. Because I think she had some Calypso Coral something or other that I didn't have. But I thought, hey, I can make some Calypso Coral bling. All right, I'm going to set this aside. And we're going to add this in just a little bit. All right, let me make sure everything is on screen, especially this card here. All right, because I've got a couple up more things that we need to do. And of course, my adhesive, or not adhesive, but my Stampin' Dimensionals are not in my little adhesive organizer, so I have some right here. I'm going to need some big ones, and then for my sentiment strip, I'm going to need some little ones. So let's do this. So for this card, I need this to go up here. And when you place this on, you want to place it on the left, but you want to have, we went to all this trouble to have this DSP here. So you don't want to cover it up completely. And so that's going to go there. And then this one is going to go down. Now remember, she used 3, and we're going to use 3. But she used 3 completely. So I tried every which way that I could think to put this in here and not have it look, too much. So then I decided that I needed to trim off these leaves right here. Yes, I know I went to all the trouble of watercoloring them, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully go around here. Oh, it says my connection is slow. Hopefully it's not too glitchy. So this is another technique. It's called die cut surgery. That's what I'm calling it, at least. But the idea is you don't have to live with a die cut just the way it comes out. Make it suit your needs. All right? And so this will now fit better in this space between, so that we have this line of these. What are these flowers? Are these roses? Or I'm not sure what they are. But this was too much. I could probably sneak them in somewhere, but I'm not, because we have these other things that we're going to put in for texture. All right. That's generally the layout that I want. So I'm going to take this back up. I'm going to take this back up, and I'm going to put dimensionals on this piece. And I kind of want to keep the dimensionals away from the edges, because I need to sneak those branches of leaves behind. So I'm just going to use 2, and I'm kind of putting them in the middle. And we can trim these if we need to. Okay, so when I put on, I'm just going to make sure that I'm not covering up too much of that DSP. I want it to show. I think Jill mentioned the colors, that you like the color combo. I think this was a color challenge that they participated in, that they had to use these colors together. And I agree, they look really good together. And it's also colors that I would never have put together on my own. But that's why I'm not an artisan. That's why I just copied the artisans. Andrea Seargent is a artisan designer for Stampin' Up, who lives in Australia, I believe. And I am just, since this has popped up and this has popped up, and we're going to overlay that there, I am going to just glue it. Yeah. So I'm going to add some glue here. Hopefully. Oops, I almost knocked my box of stuff. And I'm just going to hold that there for a second so that liquid glue has a chance to adhere. I was also thinking I could Wink of Stella some of this, but I was afraid of how it would. I'm pretty sure it's okay, but I didn't want to mess up any of my watercoloring, so I didn't. All right, now we have a nice little arrangement of flowers all the way down our card. This gold heat embossing is just working so well with this strip of gold right there. All right, the next thing is a bow. So I've got my little bow tire here. Let me set this aside for a second. Oh no, that's not the next thing. The next thing are these leaves. So what I'm going to do is just kind of slip these in, and if I need to trim any, I can. But this is just to add texture to the background so that it's just not so plain back there. And that's also why it's that monochromatic. It's the basic white on basic white. And then I have this piece here. So I think I am going to trim off this little bottom piece. And then that fits there so much more nicely. Let's adhere that. That looks so good. It adds texture, but it doesn't take your attention away from these pretty flowers here. So I'm going to trim that off as well and do the same thing down here at the bottom. I'm not sure if I put that in the instructions of trimming. Maybe I did. I don't know. But you guys know you can trim your die cuts as needed. Oh, this one's not. This one's not following my... There we go. That'll work. And then in the center here, we've got these smaller leaves. Oh, I did the wrong one. I don't think it matters. Well, since I did the wrong one there, I'm going to use the wrong one here. And I can save these two for another card. I just don't want there to be just that one that's kind of that style. So I'm going to use this piece. And that way we're using every part of the buffalo, right? There, see that? How you've got texture now back here, but it's not taking away from this really pretty line of flowers. Okay, I'm gonna save these, put those aside for another card someday. Now it's bow time, so I'm gonna bring my bow tire over. And I've got this, what is it? Whisper White crinkled seam binding ribbon. It was very popular, and I was looking for a white, and this is what I had, and I think it's retired, and so it is what it is, right? So I'm going to use it. To tie my bow. There we go. All right, let's tie this bow. All right, I'm gonna adhere this with a mini glue dot. Pick it up with my take your pick tool. Decide where I want it. I want it somewhere like that. Press the knot of the bow onto that glue dot. I've kind of angled it a bit because now we have our sentiment that we want to place here. All right, remember this side is popped up and this side is not. So under the G end, I'm going to put a mini dimensional so that this end is the same height as the other end. And on this end, I'm going to add a little bit of glue. Hopefully I can get it on there straight. And now I'm going to use, I got these, Gloria let me know that there was a sale, this was weeks ago, on scrapbook.com. And so I bought these titanium scissors. They're not the same ones that, oh, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Uses, but they're titanium and they work just really great. So I bought those because I needed to take advantage of a sale, right? And we don't have snips anymore in our catalog. All right, these should be dry now and we can use them. So let's start putting these on. Put one there. Need a little bit more putty. Let's go here. And there is our very pretty, charming day thinking of you card. What do you guys think? In really no time at all, we have a very artistic card, beautiful card to send to somebody to let them know that you're thinking of them. This is even going to lighten up the more it dries because I promise you these were that color when I finished watercoloring them this morning. But I love the watercolor effect. Look at that leaf. That looks, I mean, it looks like I know what I'm doing. And I promise you I don't. So anyway, that is the Charming Day bundle. Those pretty flowers, the dies, the leaves in the background. The sentiment is from Wonderful Thoughts. All right. I hope you guys like this card. Isn't it pretty? Now remember, if you've commented at all during tonight's live, then your name goes into a drawing for tonight's card. If you share it, then your name goes in twice. You have 2 chances to win this beautiful card to send to someone you love. All right, let me show you a couple of the things that I ordered that I'm excited about. Let me clean up a little bit just before we go. All right. Just because it's on top of my stack, here's some new bling. Let me see how that's showing up on the camera. Are we still there? I think so. All right, so these are called hues of blue flowers. So you can see they're kind of an ombre effect. Hues of blue flowers, and they go with a really, really pretty suite of products. I don't have these together because I just got them. I just got them like right before this afternoon. I went down and my big box of Stampin' Up stuff was there. Let me move this. Here's some more bling. This is called Delightful Decorative Dots. Delightful Decorative Dots. And these are, you can see, are more getting closer to more Christmassy colors. And then these are called Streaked Dots. And I believe they're pecan pie. Streaked dots. They have variation of colors inside them. All right. Okay. This is an online exclusive, I think, that's coming. It's called Sign Design. The bundle is called Sign Design, and it is a stamp set and punch. So you can see that punch will cut out these images here, actually all of these, and you can very quickly make Christmas tags with them or Christmas cards. And I can't wait to see what those artisans do with this set. I'm a sucker for putting fun tags on Christmas presents, so I had to have this set. Here is a fall one. I believe this is also an online exclusive. Sentiments and Dies. And I think maybe I signed up for an online class that uses this set. But, you know, fall colors, this is going to be a very useful set. So grateful for that heart of yours. Oh, if you got a card that said that about you, how would that make you feel? Wouldn't that make you feel wonderful? All right, now here is one called Ornamental Christmas. Images, sentiments, dies. I love this star here. I saw a card. No, it's not this one. I can't remember. There's a couple of ones that have Christmas cards in it. I mean, Christmas trees in it. That I thought I got. Oh, yeah, over here. Sorry. There's more over here. Sorry. So, I don't know exactly why I got this one. I must have seen a card already that I liked. And this has a large circle die in it. I always love those. And this star is going to be beautiful. So Christmas card time has arrived. Here's one called Pine Tree Trimmings. Again, Christmas trees, presents. This looks so much fun. Again, making tags, Christmas cards, corresponding dies. And then this one has shaker domes that match this tree. So you can make shaker dome cards. That will be fun. And the whole reason why I got that set is because they had the shaker domes. Here is a standalone stamp set called Happy Place. I don't know if you can see it very well, but that happy has an ocean beach scene in it. And it just looked too cool. I haven't seen one like this before from Stampin' Up. And so I thought I have to have that. We'll see what we can do. Sentiments, happy retirement, happy place, happy life, happy days, happy times, happy birthday. And I like this sentiment. Hey, y'all. I love that. Oh, yeah. Let's move it up where you can see it. Sorry, guys. But I think this sentiment with that, with those palm trees and that ocean and beach in there is going to be fun to play with. That's a standalone stamp set. Here is another standalone Christmas one. I always have, you know, they usually only have one Christian themed stamp set. And, well, maybe sometimes they have more, but this is the one for this year. Of course, I had to have it. And all is calm, all is bright, for unto you a child is born. Oh, come, let us adore him. When they saw the star, they rejoiced. Oh, holy night. I think this is going to be fun. Here is something that I never do, and I just bought the die set. I did not buy the corresponding stamp set. I may, I just haven't yet, but I wanted this stitched ornament right here because I saw a card that somebody I like used. So I said, I'm going to get that. All right. This one is called Peace on Earth. I bought this whole suite. Here's some sentiments. I really love this one, Peace, Love, and Joy. But it has a sympathy, heartfelt prayers, peace on earth, a big hugs for a good friend. So this could go Christmassy, or it could go sympathy, or just an any occasion card. It has this corresponding 3D peaceful greenery embossing folder. And then it has these corresponding dies. Doves, an olive branch, some stars, these layering labels, which I love layering dies. That's called Peace on Earth. And the whole reason why I saw this one is I saw a card that I have to make. It is so beautiful. And I think it's going to be my Christmas card this year. And then this is my very favorite. It's called Gingerbread Man. Look at this cute little gingerbread guy. Seasons eatings, baking spirits bright, sugar and spice and everything nice. Oh, snap. So a very fun gingerbread man. And then you have all these dies. Now look, this is a die that folds together. So you can make a gingerbread man shaped card, which I think is just going to be so much fun. And then you have all these corresponding things that you can decorate your gingerbread man card with. A candy cane, a coffee mug, or hot chocolate, cute little stocking cap, ties, candy, peppermint candy, little icing pieces, a sucker here. I just can't wait to see what people come up with for this one. And this has got to be probably one of my favorite of the new catalog. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick little look at some of the stuff I got. the DSP, I got DSP too, but I'm not going to take time to show that tonight. I'll show that as we make cards. But anyway, you got a sneak peek at some of the stuff coming either online or in the new mini catalog. Here is our cards for tonight. And I hope you had as much fun watching as I did making these beautiful cards. And so, if you were wanting to order from the new mini catalog, you have to wait until September something, the first part of September. Unless you're a demonstrator, then you can do it on a pre-order basis right now. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. And I will see you next time for another great card. Now it's your turn to make a card and send it to someone you love. I'm going to go through the comments, and hopefully I get everybody down if you've shared, if you've commented, and I'll do a drawing, and then I will post the recipe for tonight's card. All right? Thanks for being here, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye. Sorry, Jill. At least you get a demonstrator discount, right? All right. See you. Bye.